the Log My Calls webinar series. We're really excited to have you today. Today's webinar is called 5 Killer SEO Strategies to Boost Traffic and Leads for Your Small Business in 2013. We've got a guest presenter with us today, Jon Rognerud. Jon is really one of the pioneers of search engine optimization. He's the author of 2 books, one of them being The Ultimate Guide to Search Engine Optimization, and he's built a search marketing company focusing on SEO, PPC, and social media. So Jon's been featured in the New York Times, USA Today, and Forbes, and he's the owner of 2 different domains, jonrognerud.com. He does a lot of his own marketing, consulting, and SEO consulting, and then he has a full-service agency as well, chaosmap.com. So I encourage you all to go ahead and check that out. So we're excited to have you here. Just wanted to let you know that in addition to this webinar, for all of those of you who are attending, we're going to offer you a free trial. Jon, do you want to take us to the next slide there?
Sorry, Mike. I was on mute here. Yeah.
Oh, no worries. No worries. Glad to have you here. Okay, perfect. So we have a offer for all of those attending this webinar, a free trial of Log My Calls. If you go to logmycalls.com and the 30-day trial landing page, and you enter a coupon code of damn good. Our little mascot there is a beaver, so he's always trying to block things up and measure analytics. So use the coupon code damn good, and we'd love to give you a free trial of our offer. So with that, we want to turn the time over to Jon Rognerud. We're really excited to have him. He is the SEO expert, and he's going to tell us a lot of great things about optimizing our search engines for search engine optimization for our small businesses. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Jon.
Hey, Mike, and thank you again, and to Mickey and the entire Log My Calls team. We've been trying to put this together. You guys are just so busy, and I know our schedules don't always match up, but I'm glad you could fit me in, so the honor is all mine here.
Great.
All right. Well, I'm gonna dive in here, Mike, and we start with some logistics stuff. Of course, we want to make sure that we're focused today, and that includes cell phones and emails and all that stuff aside. Kids, dogs, you know, just maybe relax with a coffee cup and some notes and a pen, and man, you're good. And so then, if you also have that, including a business, which I know many of you have here, most of you. And you're a little bit familiar, at least, with SEO, and you're fired up like we are here today, man. We are on the same page. This is for you. And of course, the flip side here being, you know, there's much hype in this area, and so, you know, signing up for just a package of this and that and kind of that magic bullet idea, well, we'll talk, well, you'll see that that doesn't exist in this area. This is not one that belongs in that opportunity biz op category. Including, you know, we talk about this, or at least I do, the idea that you're going to hit some roadblocks, and so if you're already a negative person and think Google is after you, well then this is not going to help, because I'll be talking a lot about that today. But this kind of gives you just a little bit of a perspective at the top, and of course this is our agenda here. We do want to cover this. It was outlined in the email that went out to you all, and we're going to talk about the SEO process and some myths and trends. I think that's important just to get a top-level view. Keyword strategy is very important. We're going to show you some step-by-step things. This would be definitely a note-taking area here today. Rankings and traffic is the outcome and results of this. And, of course, what we're doing today in the social media arena, some of you will know, you know, some things about what you can do, but there's going to be some illumination here today on that, as well as content strategies, number 4, and what you can do today. And finally, as you do all these things, there's management of leads in the back-end funnel, and of course Log My Calls knows all about this, and the statistics and analytics and tracking, very important. That automation piece. Now, I'm going to cover some of the things that I work with and that we do, but you'll see how this all breaks down. So kind of full-featured package here today, but a lot of good stuff, I think, and get ready to take notes. You know, Mike outlined this quickly, so I'm not going to cover this in great detail, other than to say that you are in the right place if you're looking for SEO and PPC and social media and really online marketing, thinking about how to get more traffic, leads, and building the back end and changing lives. I put that at the end there. I just don't want this to be you know, an action item or 2 or 3 to get some results, we want to think about how we can actually change the way you do operate, do be and get more this year. So as Mike mentioned, have a book out. There's a new book coming down on the right there, The Walking Guy in red. Can't really talk too much about it. Major publisher, 2014, very exciting. That's coming. And I speak, train, and consult on this. And one of the guys said I should put in this little quick case study here. This is just one talking about an overall traffic metric point, the Google metric point specifically, and then social and some of the increases. Now, I know that people tend to just show their favorable numbers, and of course we want to do that too. There's a lot of work behind here, and frankly, if you want more information, I'll share with you some of the struggles that we had in this. But we like progress like this, and we think that you can see the same if you employ some of the tactics that you're going to see here today. So with the ear to the ground, we're going to talk a little bit about the SEO myths and trends. There's clearly many topics or many articles and data around this. But here's some of the things that we see. I mentioned this Google is after you concept already. You see, of course, you can just Google SEO is dead and look at the most recent news and updates. You probably see one within the hour. There's always articles around SEO is dead and also relative now, social is king. Don't worry about SEO, which is absolutely incorrect. They work in concert now. It's kind of like the sandwich effect. And also we hear this a lot, that SEO is a technical job, kind of just hand it over to IT and they can handle it. And in larger organizations, we deal with this and being liaisons essentially between marketing and the publishing area and IT and educate, instruct, and inform is a big part of the job. And if you're an internal SEO, that would be definitely part of it as well. So, but it is not a technical job. A piece of it will always be, but there's other elements, as you'll see. And it's not a one-time deal and do some cleanup work. It's ongoing. SEO is actually a long-term strategy, but with potentially very high ROI metrics, ROI opportunities. Just getting more links, just don't worry too much about the content. That's a flawed approach as well. And of course this one, if your page ranks #1, you're set. Well, clearly we know that that would not be true because you're not going to be there without working on it. That's one. But actually if you're position 2 or 3, you can have a better click-through rate. It's not just about being #1, right? User design, user experience, doesn't matter much, actually matters quite a bit, as you'll see. You'll see some results and some tests here in a bit. So thought you might like that. Now here, trends we see increasing and moving forward in this space are, of course, the social, talked about a lot, Google Plus, persona development. I'll get into that in a few minutes, so I won't call it out here. But tying in with Google Plus is author rank and authorship. You see those little icons when you search next to posts. That is there's a way to do that, and you'll see that in a second, how to do that for your own site and for your own world. Mobile, we know about that. Local is emerging as well. 1 in 3 searches versus 1 in 5 just a year or 2 years ago. Very cool. Need to be there if you're a local business. I'll show you how to get there fast today also. And of course we're going to see the panda and the penguins, the thin sites that provide no value, the links that provide no value from external factors, etc. And ultimately here, and we see this, and I see this, talk about this a lot, is SEOs may have been a bit more unique in the past, but now you're becoming, or have to really become, a master of online marketing. You're working much more on a consultative basis, clearly outlining goals and objectives, be much more creative about your thinking, the strategies, of course, and it's not about the tech or the links. In pieces there are, but you need to be much more results-driven, content-focused, marketing, promotion, and PR. And some will say, yeah, I've done this since forever. It's all about PR. Well, yes, that's correct. Learning to leverage PPC. Actually, before you kick off an SEO campaign, or if you're brand new, use PPC, validate keywords and ROI metrics before you kick off an extensive, long-term, expensive, potentially SEO. Validate that work. And of course, as I mentioned, mobile. By the way, here's a quick tip. You'll see these in red. An action item for you is to take a look at your web analytics. And hint, hint, you have that, right? Yes? Okay, good. Because you can scan that and look for Android and mobile and iOS, etc., and see what kind of activity. And if you span it out, you'll see that it's most likely increasing in that curve, and it tells you that there are some action points here. Of course, web analytics is a big piece of any business in the back end to understand it, so I'm not going to cover that here. But you can look at things like activity on the page, bounce rates, etc., to see if even your site is functioning very well in mobile. And of course, you can just simply go to it, right? So, as I said, action items here, Google and social. You got to set up your profiles, and so profiles could be a personal profile like on Facebook or a Facebook page, but based on research, right? If your market is not really hanging out on Facebook, you may just find yourself having a private profile, although I recommend as a brand, you just register the name and get that vanity URL. Same with Google+, learn to implement Google authorship and the ranking capabilities of it. That's kind of a graph on the right and the factors that go into it. At the bottom is an article we wrote on Chaos Map and how to show my profile picture in search engines, right? So that should be a good read for you. And of course, I'm going fast on some of these here, so a lot of information. But if you have any questions, you know, Mike or myself will make sure you get that URL. And ongoing discussions here and increasing in importance is quality user experience and user interfaces along with the content. Need to be creative here. Catching the reader, you know, headlines, by the way, at the bottom, tip right, copy blogger, magnetic headlines. Magnetic headlines is a must read. And in all of this, be helpful. Keyword research, going to cover that today, and make sure you get those keywords on pages. And by the way, some of you will say, well, duh, of course. Well, you'd be surprised. And also, people are not clear on how to include keywords, so they get into a duplicate issue with keywords on multiple pages, and not good. And of course, make people engage. Get them to engage with call to action statements, and you know, you see it on Facebook all the time. Like this page, and you'll get a free gift, etc. Now, this guy in his head, I want you to think a little differently going forward. You may have content that you already that already sits in your inventory, and I call it reuse here, and asset optimization. A lot of opportunities, and I mentioned images first because a lot of folks engage with images. I mean, Facebook is a perfect example, but in Google, there's the idea of image search. You can create a lot of activity through image search by optimizing those, simply by naming it correctly, by making sure your tags are optimized. And by the way, if some of you don't understand what tags are, send me an email. I'll explain this to you and what the tips are for some of these things. Again, this is intended to be kind of a top-level checklist. Some of these will resonate with you. In fact, I was just on a client call this morning. They have a huge arsenal of PDFs that are not used, that are actually very nicely done. We're going to expose those to the search engines, and we're actually going to take some of the top ones based on keywords and HTML them and make the PDF as an accessory, which will be no indexed, but that's okay. Webinars, podcasts, videos, of course, very cool. Some will come and ask about getting top positions in Google, and based on research, we may decide that YouTube is a greater way to go. Using externally highly valuable site can be an awesome way to go. Live webcasts, of course, a blog. Any company who is seriously in this game to play must have a blog. It's very unlikely that anybody would not have a blog. However, and a big however here, don't set up a blog and say I have a blog and then don't do anything with it. Then get that strategy in place before you actually kick it off. Slide decks, you know, PDFs, PPTs, etc. Word docs, convert them, put them out on SlideShare. Make sure they point back to your resources page or homepage or whatever you have that information. White papers and research guides. So gives you a good tip here on what to get going with in terms of content. And content, you hear it a lot, but it is very much a key area of focus because the wins are potentially huge, and they tend to spread in the social environment. I also get this question, hey, what are a few things that I need to do to kind of see success online? And it's really just these three. The traffic, you must have the traffic and relevant traffic, that is, a offer and a message that relates back to that, and then of course the conversion, the tracking and the measurements. And CRO is conversion rate optimization. I'm going to show you an example of that in a little bit here on how you can do that. And of course we'll talk about that too, but the back office nurture and management, and this is where companies like Log My Calls come in as well. And the triangle at the bottom is one that you may have seen before, but be very clear on your message and what you are about. You know, that's the USP, right? Your unique selling proposition. The market, who are you selling to? We're going to talk about personas a little more here. And then media. You know, we're talking about SEO as in a media, PPC as a media, social media. Ads is another media, you know, offline and online. So you might actually do postcards and mailers and things. But really, if you boil it down, this is it. If you did this all day long, you'd be doing pretty well. Here's the top-level process for SEO. 1 on the left, 2, 3, and 4 as it goes sort of a round robin here with the arrows, but I'm not going to drill too deep. This is some of our processes that we utilize and implement at ChaosMap, but keyword research is central, so is content on the left there, social engagement, marketing, competitive data, and moving towards integration and interaction, client opportunities, competitive research, the web signals, technologies, you know, what you should or can implement as well. And of course, rankings and traffics and conversion is the ultimate indicator for success here. Now, all of these things don't happen at the same time, but this is a very top-level view on how you can also kind of look at your area for potential improvement and success. So that really ends Chapter 1. Chapter 2 is all about keywords that rock. And here, we're going to talk about a step-by-step approach that you can utilize. It's a little different than perhaps some of you all have done before, but this is some recent research that we've been doing, and it works very well, and it makes a lot of sense. So here we go. The first thing that we always ask is, how difficult is that keyword? So if you're trying to rank for weight loss, we say good luck, but if the person is, or the company is serious, we'll really drill down into, you know, figuring out what are really the opportunities here, and how do you determine it, right? Weight loss is a two-phrase word or a two-phrase term, but you know, weight loss for women, you know, extends out into what we call the long tail. Weight loss for women over 50, even longer. Weight loss for women over 50 in Los Angeles, even more, getting into geo-identifiers and explicit searches like that. Very hard to know exactly how difficult these things are, even though we can theoretically talk about, well, just extend it and we're done. You need to just really make sure. So, as I said here, we talk about some of these head, you know, the head terms like weight loss. Here in this example, I'm talking about shoes. Running shoes, considered a middle type term. Long tail, running shoes for men over 50, running shoes for men who like to hike in the mountains, etc., etc. So you get my drift, right? But we do want to think about themes and groups. And by the way, this is very important because it ties into your site architecture and the design to support these keyword themes. And right in the middle of the page there, indented, it says grouping. Word Tracker has a grouping tool. So does SpyView, right? SpyView.com. And the AdWords editor for PPC even has this. And there's other tools, and some of them are free, some of them are paid. But it allows you to do a scan of keywords that you may have found in say, the keyword tool from Google, and group them, and see how you can logically arrange them and support an architecture around them. Links are always important, both on the site and, of course, co-citations externally. And what's changed here is, in the past, you used to try and focus on, you know, let's see, something like weight loss for women, since I'm using that theme, that you exact match that term back to your specific page, right? This is not the approach you want to use. You want to mix it up, a much more natural. You could even have, for more information about weight loss for women, click here, and click here is the one that's actually hypertext linked back to your page. Navigational searches, where they simply go straight to your page, eBay, Twitter, Facebook, etc. Transactional, where there's a commerce buy or compare or review term. Informational queries, how to, etc. But really, all of these coupled with search psychology, user intent, search intent, what do they actually want? And interestingly enough, if you have a keyword that you think you're relevant for, ask this question: what are they thinking when they're searching that keyword? You could even ask some of your members and have a little fun grab and lunch and learn kind of situation with some of the keywords. Google Keyword Tool, going to share that with you in a second. And the Google Analytics, GA at the bottom, they are your friends. And for some of you who are not as technical, again, any questions, or send a note after this, and I'll follow up with this and tell you where you can sign up and get that going. And it's return on find. It's all about this, you know. Ask why that keyword, I kind of referenced that just a minute ago, and why those keywords, you know, that or those, single or multiple. Why do you choose those? And use pay-per-click, AdWords research. We're going to talk about the Google Keyword Tool here in a second. I'm going to show you a step-by-step approach. In fact, we're going to start with step 1, And I just said, show you Google Keyword Tool, and here I go showing you something completely different. This is the KPM tool. This is Keyword Project Manager. I think it's free for like 7 days, and it's 10, 15 bucks a month. But a very cool tool that allows you to do way more than keyword research and management, which I'll show you in a second. But really, the first step here is you open the tool, and once you're in the tool, there's a button here that you can click on that says Google Auto Suggest, and it's the Google Suggest tool. You enter your keyword phrase. In this, since I'm a guitar player, I entered how to play guitar. But as you can see on the right, you can use wildcards as well to get a differentiating view. In fact, you can get so many variations here. It's absolutely insanely powerful, and we are talking about the long tail keywords that are much more applicable for you as a small business to actually try and get traffic for. And I know there'll be some questions about local, because if you're a dentist, well, how to play guitar is not going to apply, but how do I use this tool for local? Well, it's the same thing, but you're going to see a lot more explicit searches for your local domain, your local area. So that's step one. Step two is you're going to go into Google and you're going to type keywords, and the first result that comes up is this, Google Keyword Tool, Google AdWords. Once you click in there, you're going to take the list that you generated from step one, and you're going to paste it into Google, and you're going to select basically, when you paste it in there, you're going to get some results back. And once you select the bottom settings here, notice how I put exact plus only show ideas closely related to search terms. There are one checkbox, and then only show ideas closely related related to search terms that you must remember to set, because anything outside of this is just going to be noise. Once this is done, you can sort that column by global monthly searches. If you're a local business, you'll see local monthly searches. You sort it by that. Gives you kind of a quick view of how many searches per month and what some of those keywords are. And then finally, there's going to be a download button. You download that to a CSV. Once you download it to a CSV, you go back to the Keyword Project Manager tool, and you enter a keyword pool title, and you can name it whatever, but in this case it's how to play guitar. Makes sense, right? And then you import from the data that you exported from the Google Keyword Tool. You just import it here, hit the green button at the bottom, right? Very straightforward. Once this happens, it'll actually scan it in. You'll be able to run what's called a analytics, sort of an analyze process on the keywords, and you'll get a large list back. And down at the bottom here, notice the red arrows. Those are indications of more competitive keyword. The green arrows on the left there are potentially more valid keywords for these types of flavors of searches in the how to play guitar area. But then here on the right, this is the absolute kicker. The black arrow indicates, if you see the top one there, says 4241, 2321, and 33333. Okay. Those are PageRank values, which is Google's authority signal, essentially by 0 to 10, that indicates the strength of the page. And those first four are essentially pulled in here. So for how to play a guitar chord, the red arrow, it says that the first result is a PageRank 4, PageRank 2, PageRank 4, PageRank 1, and there's 339,000 results returned for that if you were to enter that phrase, how to play a guitar chord, with double quotes around it in Google, because double quotes around the phrase actually is an exact match into Google. Now here's what's really cool about this and super illuminating is anything that you fire into this tool, it will go back and return a PageRank results for and give you an indication of what's really actually doable. It gives you search numbers, it gives you CPC values and others. And here we can see how to play a guitar for kids is viable, as is probably how to play guitar for beginners step by step. Notice how that's long tail. It works extremely well. But notice on the right-hand side where it says 339,000, 183,000, 2890. These numbers in the past have just been guidelines for people out there say, hey, anything less than 100,000 is probably viable to rank for. Well, down at the bottom, the 3333 says it's only 2,890 searches for the exact phrase exact match in Google. That actually might be tougher to rank for than the one above it. Notice how that says 2321. I realize this is a lot of tech stuff here. For you guys, this is going to be, for some of you guys, this can be like totally, wow, this is cool. For others, you'll be like, don't get it. absolutely don't get it. Well, that's fine, because guess what? I'm here to help you. I'll do follow-up with you. I'm not bailing on you. So, but this is just such a key insight here and a great tool to help you. Okay, so now in step 5, this is the killer, which is where you really nail this. As I said, at the top you see the target analyze group. The analyze button is the one that we did. Then you hit the target button and you target and create a new article, and you just simply write it here at the bottom there. See the arrow, article, how to play guitar for beginners step-by-step, a primer. You enter your meta description, your article content, you save, and then you publish. And the publishing we're not going to talk about exactly today, but if you have a blog, then of course you're way ahead of the curve. And that's how easy it is, guys and gals. And an absolutely amazing process for getting these long tails, getting fast traffic in, because you will rank fairly quickly for these things as a general statement here. And of course, if anybody guarantees anything, then run the other direction, because this changes, right? What I'm telling you today might be a lie tomorrow because Google has changed, right? But the key is that you follow a process, and this is a process that can work very well. Plus, it's very easy, right? I mean, the article here, next question is going to be, how do I get that written? I see that I have a number of keywords that I can pursue. I need to at least have 6 or 10 new articles written. Great. Well, you can go to places like textbroker.com. It's awesome. Writeraccess.com. Get that out there, punch it in here, save it off so you have a history of it, and then publish it, and off to the next one. So here are some of the keyword tools. Talked about the keyword, Google Keyword Tool, Keyword Project Manager, awesome. Google Analytics, that's just simply google.com/analytics. ubersuggest.org. If you really want to take this and expand it, ubersuggest.org is awesome, and you expand it by alphabet, the numbers, and more. Bing Ads Intelligence, that's an Excel plugin. You must have an Ad Center account, but it's very powerful inside Excel. And of course, the fancier might be things like Word Tracker, Market Samurai, Samurai Spy, Few Keyword Spy, etc. So that's kind of a fast walkthrough here, and I realize you're probably sweating bullets over there in all this data, but man, once you kind of get behind this, I mean, remember the first time you went biking or skiing? I mean, it went to hell probably, right? Well, this may not actually work great the first time, but as you do this and get more comfortable, this will be a process for you, and as part of your editorial work in terms of having your calendar mapped out, which we'll talk in a second, this will just be kind of how you use the tools. So that was number 2. We are going into social impact and what you can do today. Now, let me just pause here for a second. Mike, are we okay on time and kind of the work or the flow here? Am I going okay here?
I think you're doing great. You know, this area right here of social impact and I think this is something that small businesses can really benefit from. We usually go till about the top of the hour, so 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. We do want to wrap up maybe at 10:02 or 1:45 so that we have time for questions.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah. So I have 2 more sections after this, but I think we're doing good. Then it sounds like.
Okay. Perfect.
All right. Cool, man. Yeah. Social impact. This was actually just from Social Media Examiner. That's a great blog to follow. Almost 58, not 85, 58 million Americans use social media daily from this Edison research. From 2008, you see there, 5, 7, 15, 18, 22. Moving forward, it's significant, and it's significant because whether you're in B2C or B2B, your audience is out there, but they are not necessarily all on Facebook. We're going to talk about that here in a second. But many of them, especially in the business area, may find that Twitter is a workable situation for them. And the fact is the trends are showing not only growth in this platform as well, but more engaged users, more connectivity, and expansion. So research is key to all of this. But I want you to just see some stats here initially. So here are some of the signals and the leverage points you must consider. I talked about Google Plus and the author rank, authorship, and the blog notes that I mentioned earlier. The brand and persona profile setup, talked about that, and that you are present in the social ecosystem. And business owners that I talk to and that we talk to sort of stop themselves from engaging because they're afraid of privacy concerns is one. Another is, well, if I start, I better have content to push out there. I don't necessarily want people to see everything I'm doing. It's many reasons why they're sort of slowing down or not available to engage with this. The truth is they're creating more complexity in their head than there really is here. Of course, every business is different. So if you're a Fortune 500, 1,000, that's a different model than 1, 2, 3, 4 employees in a smaller office somewhere. But you need to be part of this. And to get something where you basically have a regular scheduled post every Friday is fine, right? Once a week. Maybe you get something every 2 weeks, but that you have a schedule and frequency and consistency is certainly important. And consistent frequency. So I forgot the T, apologize. Share, connect, and engage is my message here to you today. And yeah, I should add a little final bullet. You hear this a lot, so I'm telling you today, just do it. Okay, that sounded kind of harsh, but anyway. So tools that you can use in this area is advanced search. Twitter is great to search for if you want to find out who's out there. Follower Wonk was just taken over by SEO Moz guys, and Mr. Rand is a great tool. Social Mention to kind of get a feel for what's out in the space for you and your competitors. Hootsuite to just automate and help you load up these posts. You can preload things on Hootsuite and don't even worry about it. Go on vacation, right? And it's going to still work for you. Web Analytics and the social stats area. Google Analytics, if you don't use it and haven't used it yet, there's a big section on social as well. So, content, process, and return. Content is king, you've heard that, but not just any content. There's a lot of this sort of rehashed content. It's like, hey, I got my blog post out today. Valuable content is what I'm talking about. And blogging and WordPress is central to this for so many. I recommend looking at WordPress and not WordPress.com because that's hosted elsewhere. Create your own domain, create your subdomain if you must. Subdirectory is best, and get blog up and running. Get blogging once a week, twice a week. Regular consistency. Guest writing is of course important. And look at some of these tools I mentioned in the previous slide. Others, if you're in the sort of information-based area on how to, Quora, Twitter, Yahoo Answers, Topsy, RSS, a real simple syndication in the Google readers. Set up a Google alert, simply google.com/alerts. Enter keywords, enter your brand names, enter your competitor names, and get daily and weekly summaries of what's happening in the space and news and blogs and images, etc. And you're going to get a lot of information and ideas to pursue this notion of, man, I'm getting content out there. I'm proud of myself. So answer questions and wrap them into research and stories and infographics. A lot of people say they're done and out. They're very popular, but you want to make them well done, not just a 5-minute bang-up job, although there's stories about people doing that and doing quite well. It means that they have done good research, though. They know who they are targeting. So this is kind of just give you, if you're a local business, an idea of what we look at in terms of the local area. So this is a step-by-step approach, a process that follows a local business from the A section to the B section. So we start out here also with keyword research analysis. We look at your web analytics. Of course, we want to make sure that you're well established and visible in the Google Plus local area. And in a second, I'll show you some tools. You can do this yourself, not all of it, but some of it, which is great. Competitive analysis, the audit of your website too, and how it sits and how it reflects the local identifiers. And I mentioned the content development strategy and editorial calendar, and it sounds so fancy, right, all this stuff. It's really simple. I mean, you could whiteboard this out and get your staff to engage with this pretty quickly if you're a small business. Again, larger organizations, business units, buy-offs, legal, CEO, many more people will be involved in these steps, but you get my drift. The section B here is to create citations, so basically local references and refers that we do an audit on those citations, people giving you reviews, etc. The social media strategies overall, the profiles, and make sure that everything is widget enabled so people can share and engage. You see the Facebook buttons and Twitter buttons and all that stuff. Well, you need it too, right? Some of the tools, you can look at your existing website by using something called the Screaming Frog Spider. It'll simulate a spider and pull back a lot of important information. For some of the more basic people, this is going to be probably more technical information than they care to see. But Xenolink Spider is a free one, and it's very cool also. And of course, keep mentioning Google Analytics. But here are a couple of tools to see if you're even, been validated in the various search engines and directories. Getlisted.org also now a SEO Moz property, and Yext.com. And Yext.com, man, they keep sending me emails. They don't give up, man, if you sign up there. But you know what? You're a business, so get to it. I'm not going to cover this too much here. This is kind of the technical link stuff, only to say that for SEO, content is important and links are important, as is keywords, sort of wrapping around all of that. Just to say that this notion of the magic bullet, signing up for these packages, 99 bucks a month, be part of these blog networks is just so dead and gone. You may be lucky and it's working for you, only to have it come back and haunt you down, which is essentially Google. But there are opportunities. Just overall, though, be natural about this and be relevant in this area. Now, if you want to drill down, for some of you more tech folks, you probably already are familiar with these and know them. Ahrefs, Majestic SEO, of course, and Open Site Explorer, some cool tools to use here to actually dive in and see who are those folks who are linking to you, what pages are linking to you, what are their relevancy for you, and also some of the history. What does that look like? Very illuminating, and especially illuminating because SEOs know that links are very important. They're not going away. In fact, if you're not very clear on your link profiles, you ought to take a study and take a look at these tools. Now, one of the questions, again, also, there's several questions that come up, but one of them is, well, I need to ramp up my content, and I need it fast. I realize I have a blog. I need to plan this out. You need to do some research at the top, number one. And there are steps within this, too. But Google is your friend, as I said, the keywords, and just typing in competitors' names and seeing what they're doing. Setting up Google alerts for them, seeing when content is being pushed, what type of content, and get a baseline in place. You don't have to go overboard here, but just understand what they're doing at least. If you say, oh, I didn't know they were doing that, well then that means you haven't done the full work yet. Editorial calendar, things you could put on there, which is editorial calendar is nothing more than the calendar on your wall or on your desktop or inside tools that outlines what's going to hit when. Interviews are great, content curation, where you actually take an existing post and add your own notes to it. For lack of simplicity, that's pretty much it. Action-driven content, get people to engage. Contests can really work for you. But targeting your audience, know your persona. You'll hear that term avatar, and you may have several. In fact, if you're a large organization, you should have several, and that's why you hear more advanced folks have several accounts in Twitter and Facebook and other locations out on the net, including their messaging and positioning and packaging. Cohesive strategy, including emails. Yes, exactly. So if you're doing this stuff, don't forget the back end. We're going to cover that here in a second. Social search, very important. Blogs and those widgets that allow people to tweet for you and Facebook like you, etc. Post planning can be a good tool. Actually, I haven't used that, but somebody had recommended it to really help just map this content out for you and sync it up for you. And weekly engagement is a key, and based on research. So very quick on that. Now, final one is lead management, and I think we're doing good here on time. So this is from Infusionsoft. I use Infusionsoft.com, great tool for small business, where this is really their life cycle, where we talk about attraction through different media. On the left, in communication, social and offline, postcards, mailers, and the attraction into the funnel, where you capture through forms, etc., which very important. Have your capture forms, name, email. Give them some lead magnet, a human grabber, something that they can download and use. Nurture that through the email and the back end. Convert to more sales, upsells, of course, over on the right there, and get referrals. Great little model here. And if you think about it, when it comes to the email lifecycle, in the back end, without going into too much detail, it follows a process from awareness all the way through advocacy. And this could be true for anything you're doing in your business, not just email. But clearly here, as you think about the steps, each step has some significant movement to the following step. And over on the right, as we go down from consideration to selection, we move it to buying, satisfaction, retention, and loyalty, reactivation of existing. Well, there was a study made, how do I segment, purchase behavior, web behavior, email click behavior? Well, you can do it from these loyal customers, folks who bought only once, inactive recent folks open, didn't click. It's a lot of opportunities here. They're probably sitting in your back office right now that you're not engaged with. A perfect way for you to think about how Log My Calls also could be used to try and segment and get out activity based on click data and call data. So other organizations have found this to work very well in terms of segmentation at the top there. And other preferences on down. This is from Marketing Sherpa. I'm not going to get into too much detail here other than to say that once you get your traffic and movement to the back end to nurture them and to drive that capability of your office, of your product, of your service, it's going to be very, very important. In fact, this study from eConsultancy shows up on the left 1 and 2, SEO and email marketing, highest ROI-based metrics, right? Very cool. SEO 73, 72, PPC on down, online display. And by a quick note here, depending on, there's so many studies, if somebody's in the online display advertising business down at the bottom, they will probably tweak this one to show them as a high ROI metric. But from the search marketing space and from this field, which I've been in since 1996 now, actually, first web page, SEO has shown just over such a long time to be the highest ROI-based metric. However, it's a long-term effort, as I said. Remember the myths at the top? It's not a one-and-done thing. But anyway, here is a great slide that gives you an indication of ROI back to your business. And this was just a study from Nielsen where they wrapped in to kind of a clock view, 1 hour. If all of U.S. mobile internet time were condensed into an hour, how much time would be spent in the most heavily used sectors? And email here on the right, notice that. People say email is dead, SEO is dead. I think not. And this was just a fun slide here to talk about activity. Email here, and of course we can see social networks and blogs over here in the red. Very, very cool. So if you're addressing all these things, you are on your way. And finally here, we're going to get into a little bit about web optimization. I think this was from Holland at Marketing Sherpa. Anyway, bottom line is this. Which one do you think won here? Which wins out? The one on the left on eNannySource or the one on the right? And the answer is, if we had a poll here, we'd do that. But if you look at it and if you think about it, the left one looks super compelling. And it has a search there. It has a join. It has some resources at the bottom. And the one on the right doesn't have that. It has kind of the search there and get started with a free trial. Well, here's the answer. The one on the right got a 44% lift in signups and activity. And again, you and I could look at this as we are now, and we're professionals, right? I could say, I think the one on the left actually makes more sense to me because I got more resource. Well, people are working fast on the internet. When they find a page, they're almost like ready to click out, right? The one on the right is simpler. It's much more specific. It has some strong call to actions. I mean, you do a search, you can start it with a free trial. That's it. There's other links on there, but that's really it. Now, I call this out because website optimization is very important, but it's also important to look at ROI capabilities like this, the 44% lift, but also don't just go out and tweak your pages without looking at analytics and your traffic already, because you may be throwing out a whole bunch of keywords and the baby with the bathwater, so to speak, by just starting to move things around too quickly. This has got to be scaled in and carefully tested. And if this is the home page, then you certainly don't want to mess with it by just ripping out things, especially if you have a good traffic. There's other strategies we can talk about there. And here's one that I did using optimizely.com. And this was for a recent webinar I did for, actually that was, a couple of weeks ago for Facebook. And the one on the left, how to build a wildly popular Facebook advertising plan, actually won out in this very small test. It's actually statistically not super significant in the numbers. But I wanted to show this to you because the one that I like the most myself is the one on the right, how to get more traffic, leads, and sales from Facebook in 24 hours. But the one on the left actually beat that one. And optimizely.com just puts a little script on your page, and you're off and running. There's free tools out there, and you have Google Web Optimizer, but this may be a good place for you to start. I don't recommend this for newbies to start here. You must have some traffic and ongoing movement on your pages, and at least 100 visitors to this particular system of Optimizely to make it statistically significant. But you have so many opportunities. In fact, many of you will probably get caught in the shiny object syndrome and just throw tools out there for the heck of it. Not a great strategy. I'm kind of going fast here today and throwing tools out and scenarios for you. But if you've taken some notes today and at least gotten this, and that is that content is going to have to be very central to all your work going forward, along with social media, along with keywords and attraction in a more natural basis for links, rather than trying to go out there and, well, people buy links as well, but go out there and try and spam the search engines. Not a great strategy. So today I'm going to give you a free gift if you'd like. This is a workbook with some action guides, etc. You can find it at chaosmap.com/free ebook, free-ebook, that is. And you can learn how to get the right clients, so the right traffic to the right clients, and we'll talk a little bit about conversions as well. And once you're in there, you'll have a chance to fire off emails and ask questions. And that's out on the chaosmap.com, and it's at the 1:45 hour. And I think I'm going to close this out. Mike, if you're there, feel free to engage back.
Yes, Jon. Thank you, Jon. Thank you so much. This has been awesome. We do have time for some questions, and we had a few questions coming in. Jon, do you have a few more minutes to answer some questions?
Yes, I'm just drinking some water here. I've been talking like crazy.
Good. Well, we hope you're not too dried out. That was a great webinar. We appreciate the subject that you covered, and the content was just awesome. And we actually had one comment come in from one of your admirers saying that she just loves your content and thinks you're great. One of the questions is, you mentioned earlier in the webinar about a long tail term that included something like weight loss for women over 50 pounds in Los Angeles. And the question is, does putting in that geographical term of in Los Angeles, does that matter so much in a Google search when Google can identify your IP address and know exactly where you're searching from?
That's a great question, and that's why I used the word explicit search, but I went a little fast there, Mike. But yeah, there's the idea that there's an implicit search, which is what the person is talking about, the IP detection and the natural geographic detection. And then there's the explicit search, like in Los Angeles or in Utah or in San Francisco, etc. You really don't have to type that in, right? I mean, if you're typing weight loss for women over 50 and in Los Angeles, it's going to auto-detect and pull that anyway, right? However, if the husband is in New York and he's thinking about his wife, for sake of simplicity, well, he's in New York and he's looking in Los Angeles, he has to make an explicit search and say in Los Angeles because he's thinking about his wife, right? Because he's on an extended business trip. So you have to actually look at both scenarios and see one which makes the most sense. However, it's not necessarily the strategy you want to employ broadly because it is a competitive space, and just adding a geo-identifier may and likely will not be enough, right? So it's going to be, that's why the keyword research is so important. I like to use that geo-identifier because people can relate to it, especially in small business, but Google has that auto detection, so I wouldn't go by that strategy alone. So, but that's a great question.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. You can never go wrong by identifying it.
That's it. That's exactly right. And for local businesses, we recommend putting that on the page, certainly on the contact page, but you often see it in the footer. So if it's the weight loss theme, which we were just talking about, you wouldn't necessarily put that in the post title. It would be on the page somewhere, and often you see it in the footer.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Well, great. That's a great answer. Thank you. The next question is about, with SEO, link building used to be the thing. Now we're transitioning to content marketing. What kind of, if you're a small business and you have limited resources, a limited time, where would you put your emphasis? Would you still try to build links, or would you, if you had to pick and kind of give a priority to one or the other, which would you do?
Yeah, so it's the low-hanging fruit. Every business is different, and each business has a different set of resources available to them. But if you're one or two people, and you're trying to get listed high for a competitive field like attorney bankruptcy, basically anything that's in the kind of professional services area, just running a bunch of content is a strategy, very viable, but it's going to be one that, somebody will look and say, hey man, this guy Jon was talking a lot about content, we did really well, but here it is 6 months later, and, we've seen a 5% increase in traffic, and, maybe we've got a couple of more calls, but it's not much happening, so we didn't like that strategy, right? Well,
sure.
You're going to have to do some competitive research first. It's almost like, I forget who said this, but how long is a piece of string? It's going to be relative, but overall, the highest value in terms of search engines still today is the links. That's 2/3 of kind of the equation. But again, the competitive analysis, the research, is going to have to be the first step. To just sort of blatantly say, oh yeah, just blog a couple of times a week and you'll be set, is not the strategy.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so, and I think it's also important to know that either strategy takes some time. You don't want to try it for a week or two and abandon it. You really gotta go for it for a couple months or so.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But if you found that local business, for that person asking, if you found some natural link partners and from your local community and got them to link to you, and you had sort of your basics set up right off the bat, I mean, you'd see movement within days and weeks, really, is the potential, versus blogging where in a month you might see a little bit of movement, right? But again, that's a general statement because each scenario is needing to be researched.
Right. Okay, great. Speaking of content marketing specifically, you've got a lot of great tools that you shared with us today, which are awesome. One of the things that some of our clients that we're familiar with that they've come across is how do you spread your content across the web? Is there a good content syndication tool?
Yeah, so that's a great question. There's some free tools, there's some paid tools. Here's the thing, Mike, and to the person asking is, in the past, it used to be more, I guess, acceptable, if you will, to simply say, hey, I posted a great blog post of good value. Now I need to disseminate that. I need to get that distributed. So you would use bookmarking services and other sort of auto submission to article directories, and click one or two buttons and you're one and done. That kind of thing. Remember that?
Yep.
The truth is that exists out there today. A lot of hype around that. Sign up for our article distribution package, click one button, pay a certain fee, and you're done. That sort of blanket distribution, we've found, serves very little value in trying to get your authority and trust built. A lot of those are in the sort of semi-shady neighborhoods as well. Also, the fact that you have multiple existing similar titles all across the web, again, this has to be researched as well, because somebody's going to say, I see where you're going with this, Jon, but doesn't news outlets do this all the time? I mean, if you see a post on CNN, 3 minutes later, it'll be across the web everywhere. Isn't that what press releases do? When you punch a press release out there, it'll be across the web. Yes, and yes, you'll get some links, and yes, you'll get some equity, but using that as a standard, when you have some quality articles that could be better used by targeting very relevant link partners and high authority link partners. For example, give you an example, to post a blog post or to go to Forbes or USA Today or a relevant outfit for your business and ask to write for them is a much smarter strategy. But if you have to do this sort of auto distribution, there's a service out there called onlywire.com that seems to be very favorable for many. I've used it in the past, but we don't use it anymore. We tend to do manual submissions, and also what we do is title switching and first 100 words, first 80 words switching. So if you see a blog post that says how to get more leads from your dentistry business or into your dentistry business, you'll see that title, although the article is similar, being manually submitted to relevant networks, but they have a title that's switched in to be perhaps 6 ways to get more business to your dentistry. So the title switching is one leverage point that you can use to create engagement and to also not just blast it out there across 100 different properties. So kind of a long answer, but that's what we're finding now. And you know, as I said at the top of the webinar, people who are interested in testing and trying things and not afraid to engage, well, hopefully they don't have to do it too much. They can rely on agencies and services out there. But that's what we like to do because we know things change so often. And again, that hype goes a long way out there. Just sign up for $50 a month and get your articles distributed everywhere. We stopped that, I think, almost 3 years ago.
Okay, great. You know, I like that tactic of title switching. I think that's a valuable concept for small businesses where you can take one piece of content that you've worked hard on and then adapt it quickly to different industries and submit it to different databases that cater to those industries.
Yeah, Mike, I agree. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Well, we're wrapping up here. It doesn't look like we have any more questions. We will post this webinar on our website at logmycalls.com/webinar-series. We did have a question for you, Jon, about, it looks like you gave a Facebook webinar once. Is that still available on your website?
Yes, it is. I think you can go to jonrognerud.com/webinar.
Okay.
And, underneath the input area there, there's a link that says replay here or something. Yeah, that's where it is.
Oh, okay, fantastic, fantastic. One more time, want to offer a free trial of Log My Calls. Log My Calls call tracking really is a great way to track your offline phone conversions regardless of the source of traffic, whether it's your social media, directories that you're listed in, or Google searches. You can know where your phone calls are coming from. And again, Jon Rognerud is one of the best in SEO. I highly recommend him, and if your company is in need of some SEO services or marketing consulting, turn to him. So thank you to Jon, and thanks for everyone for attending. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everyone.
All right. See you later.